Something felt wrong from the very beginning. He just could not explain what. Daniel was having the worst year of his life. His job was gone. His savings were almost empty. His apartment felt too quiet at night, and the people he thought were his friends had slowly stopped calling, one by one, until the phone stopped ringing completely. That is the thing nobody tells you about hard times. It is not just the problem that hurts you. It is finding out who disappears when the problem arrives. Daniel had found out, and it broke something inside him. So every morning, he did the only thing that made him feel normal. He walked to the small coffee shop on the corner of his street, ordered a black coffee, and sat by the window, just watching the world move, while his own world stood completely still. That was where he met the stranger. His name was Richard. He was always there. Same table, same time, same warm smile. The first day, Richard nodded at Daniel. Daniel nodded back. The second day, Richard said good morning. Daniel said good morning back. The third day, Richard sat down across from him, without being invited, without asking. He just sat down and started talking, like they were already old friends, like no time needed to pass first. Daniel should have found that strange, but he was lonely, and loneliness makes you grateful for anyone who shows up. So he talked back, and Richard listened, really listened. Not the kind of listening where someone waits for their turn to speak, the deep kind, the kind where they lean forward, where their eyes stay on yours, where they remember everything you said last time and ask about it the next day. It felt incredible. It felt like being seen for the first time in months. Within 2 weeks, Richard had become the most important person in Daniel's life. And Daniel had told him almost everything: his job loss, his empty savings, his loneliness, his fear that things would never get better. All of it, every painful piece. Richard listened to all of it, and every single time he said exactly the right thing. But then, small things started happening. Things Daniel pushed away at first because he did not want to see them. The first thing, Richard never talked about himself. Not really. If Daniel asked a personal question, Richard would smile warmly and redirect. Enough about me. Tell me more about what happened with your old job. Daniel always felt flattered by the attention. But looking back, after weeks of daily conversations, he realized he knew almost nothing about Richard. Not where he lived, not what he did for work, not if he had family. Nothing real, just a warm smile and perfect listening. The second thing, Richard always arrived after Daniel, and always left before him, every single day, like he was timing it. The third thing, and this was the one that made Daniel's stomach feel strange, Richard had started asking very specific questions, not big, obvious questions, small, quiet ones, slipped into normal conversation. So, when your savings run out, what is your backup plan? Do you have any family who could help you financially? Have you thought about taking out a loan? What does your apartment lease look like? Are you locked in or month to month? Each question on its own seemed like caring, like concern, like a friend trying to help. But all of them together painted a different picture. One Daniel was not ready to look at yet. One morning, Richard sat down with something different in his eyes. Not the usual warm calm, something more focused, more deliberate. He ordered 2 coffees without asking Daniel. slid one across the table. Then he leaned forward. "I want to help you," he said. Daniel felt a rush of warmth. "I have a business opportunity," Richard continued. "Something that could fix everything you are going through." "Really?" Daniel said. "It is simple," Richard said. "You invest a small amount. The returns come back doubled within 3 months. I have done it myself. I have helped 10 other people do it." Daniel looked at him. "How much?" he asked. Richard named a number. It was not huge, but it was most of what Daniel had left. Something inside Daniel went very still, like the moment before a storm. He looked at Richard's warm eyes, at his calm, easy smile, at the coffee Richard had ordered for him. And for the first time, he let himself ask the question he had been avoiding. Why has this man been so kind to me every single day? What does he actually want? Here is something important. Something I want you to understand. Whether you are 10 years old or 50, there is a thing called trauma bonding. It is a big word, but the idea is simple. When you are going through a very hard time, when you are lonely and scared and losing hope, your heart becomes very open, very hungry for connection. And if someone shows up in that exact moment, with warmth and attention and perfect listening, your brain does something automatic. It bonds to that person, deeply, quickly, powerfully, not because the person is real, but because the timing was perfect, because you needed someone so badly that your heart did not stop to ask questions. It just held on. This is what manipulators understand. They do not look for the strongest person in the room. They look for the most tired one, the one carrying the heaviest weight, the one whose guard is already down. Because a person in pain is a person who is grateful for anyone who stays. And gratitude is very easy to take advantage of. Daniel told Richard he needed time to think about the investment. Richard smiled. "Of course," he said. "Take all the time you need." The next morning, Richard was not at the coffee shop. Daniel sat at their usual table and waited. Richard did not come. The day after, same thing. Then a week passed, then 2 weeks. The chair across from Daniel was empty every single morning, like Richard had never existed. Daniel asked the coffee shop owner if he had seen him. The owner looked confused. "Who?" he said. "Richard, the man who always sat with me. Brown jacket, kind eyes." The owner shook his head slowly. "I only ever see you sitting alone at that table." Daniel felt the floor shift beneath him. He went home that day and sat very still for a long time. And he started thinking, really thinking, about all the questions Richard had asked, about how Richard knew his schedule perfectly, about how Richard never shared anything real about himself, about how Richard disappeared the moment Daniel said no. And slowly, like cold water poured over his head, the truth arrived. Richard was never his friend. Richard was never struggling alongside him. Richard had watched him, studied him, learned his pain, built his trust, and then, when the moment was right, tried to take the last money he had, and when it did not work, he simply moved on, to someone else, to another lonely person, sitting alone by a window, waiting for someone kind to show up. Daniel sat with this for a long time. He felt many things, embarrassed, angry, sad, but underneath all of those feelings, there was something else, something quieter, relief, because he had said no, because something inside him, some small, quiet voice, had made him pause before saying yes. And that small pause had saved him. He thought about that voice, that feeling in his stomach when Richard named the number, that sudden stillness. He had felt it before, small moments throughout their friendship, little signals he had ignored because he was lonely, because Richard felt good, because having someone felt better than asking questions. And he made himself a promise that day. Never again would he ignore that voice. Not for warmth, not for comfort, not for connection. Because real connection never asks you to silence your instincts. Real friendship never needs you to stop thinking. Real helpers do not disappear the moment you say no. Daniel did not become cold after this. He did not stop trusting people. He did not build walls around himself. He just learned to ask a new question. Not just, does this person make me feel good? But also, what does this person actually want from me? Not in a suspicious way, not in a fearful way, just in an aware way. The way a wise person moves through the world. Eyes open, heart open, but both open at the same time. He went back to the coffee shop every morning. Same table, same black coffee, same window. But now he sat differently, not waiting for someone to show up and save him. Just present, quiet, aware. Okay. And slowly, real people found him. People who shared things about themselves too. People who were still there after he said no. People whose kindness did not have a price tag hidden underneath it. Those people he held on to. Not every person who helps you is on your side. Some people show up in your hardest moment, not to lift you up, but to catch you when you fall. So learn to watch two things. What do they do when you say no? And what do they share about themselves? Real people stay after you say no. Real connection always goes both ways. Your trust is precious. Let people earn it slowly. The right ones will never rush you. Has someone ever helped you, and later you found out their kindness was not real? Tell me in the comments, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today.